सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Together we'll chant the first two verses. निरुपमनेप्यनिरंशकेऽप्यखण्डे मयि चिति सर्वविकल्पनादिशून्ये घटयति जगदीशजीवभेदं त्वघटितघटनापटीयसीमाया श्रुतिशतनिगमान्तशोधकानपि अहहधनादिनिदर्शनेन सद्यः कलुषयति चतुष्पदाद्यभिन्नान् अघटितघटनापटीयसीमाया. We saw yesterday the nuances of what is called enlightenment, ahankara. That I know so much, that feeling itself is a problem. That feeling itself shows that there is a Maya attack. That I know Brahman. This is a problem because we don't have knowledge of Brahman, we have knowledge that is Brahman. Of means there is a subtle dvitvam, a duality. There is a, what is that, genitive case connection. And what is that genitive case connection? Belonging to. So the knowledge of Brahman, when we say, then technically it's not correct. Because then if Brahman decides to give away that knowledge or walk away from that knowledge, then that means Brahman can be without knowledge. So we have to, even though translation, many things get lost in translation because we are doing the impossible. We are giving words to something that is wordless, that does not have anything to talk about, because what it is you, which is not an object. If it is an object, I can describe it. I can say it belongs to me. But it is not an object. It is the content, the nature of the one who objectifies everything in the universe, which itself cannot be objectified. That is this knowledge. It's very, very sukshma, subtle. And so therefore, to say even the expression knowledge of Brahman technically is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because we are seeing two things, knowledge and then belonging to Brahman. So many times, you lose your keys, room key is lost. Supposing Brahman leaves the knowledge somewhere, then, so therefore we have to, in our mind, understand it as and express it as knowledge that is Brahman. It's just like saying, yesterday night we were talking in the satsang, the head of Rahu. There is no head of Rahu. Rahu is the head. And that's what it is. So here also, knowledge that is Brahman. So that if knowledge of Brahman, even that expression is technically incorrect, then knower of Brahman, that is also incorrect. Incorrect. Because what is this knowledge? And how does this take place? It's not that the Guru, when you do Guru Upasadanam means approaching. When you approach the Guru, it's not that the Guru drills a hole in the head and pours Brahma Jnanam. Is that what happens? No. We saw what happens. What happens is the Ajnanam, the eclipse of the Ajnanam, the Guru and the Shastra together, the Shastra handled by a teacher removes. Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Timirandha is cataract. The one who has cataract is called Timirandha. So when somebody has cataract, the vision is distorted. They may see double, they may see shadows, but in any case, whatever they see is not what it is. Because the vision is occluded by the growth of these membranes called cataracts. So all this was known in ancient times. And there was some kind of a ointment, anjana ointment. Anjana means that which sticks, sticky. Ointment was there, perhaps we should find out by studying the Charaka Samhita, the Ayurvedic treatise. So this ointment, when it was applied, the cataract, perhaps especially in the earlier stages, perhaps it would reduce and go away, we don't know. So that analogy is taken here, and it is said, what is said here? Ajnana timira andhasya. For the person who is suffering from the cataract, for the sufferer of the cataract. So first we say, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So unto this Guru, Shriya Yukta Guruhu, who is endowed by abundance and abundance of knowledge, and this kind of a Guru who is blessed by Shri. So Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. My salutations unto this Guru. Who is this Guru? The one who has taken the scalpel of the knowledge and performed cataract surgery for me, who was suffering from distorted vision, double vision. Good to say double vision, because when you see two in place of one, what is that? Result of intoxication. Sometimes this is in the, in the rural areas of India, we don't have what is that called breathalyzer test and all these things to see if somebody is driving under the influence of alcohol or any substance. So the person is pulled out from the vehicle, usually a bullock cart, and then the policeman, the local kotwal goes like this. How many fingers? And what will the man say? 2. So confiscate the bullock cart for the time being, put him in the chiller to chill out, to lock him up for the night and send him home in the morning. This is what the upaya is. And so the one who sees 2 in the place of 1, when the truth is 1, and if you are seeing 2, then the problem is not that there is an earthquake or something like that. The quake is inside. So there is a distortion in the vision. And why? We know that. We know why there is a distortion in the vision. Why does one see double vision? We know that very well. Double vision one sees because there is projection. Ishvara Srishti is there, and it is overlaid by what? Jiva Srishti. My own projection upon that which Ishvara has already made, because if Ishvara Srishti is seen exactly as Ishvara Srishti, then there is no need for Vedanta. All the Swamis will be unemployed. We'll have to go into retirement. Nothing to do for us. If Yathartha Drishti takes place. If Ishvara Srishti, in place of Ishvara Srishti, I see Ishvara Srishti, then I do not require Guru, Jnanam, nothing. But the problem is, along with Ishvara Srishti, I see a distorted vision whose raw materials are what? That avarana we talked about. One's own pains, unprocessed, I should say, unprocessed, unaddressed pains, sorrows, fears, difficulties of childhood, which become the raw material for the powerful projection. So the benign universe, which is Ananda itself. Jagat is Ananda. In fact, the whole creation is Ananda. That is why Brahmaji, it is said Om Atha. At the end of creation, he was so pleased. That's why the words Om and Atha are Mangalavachi. They indicate auspiciousness. The world is auspicious. The universe is joyous. Any creation is joyous. Even when children come out, joyous. Parents, joyful. So this is joyous. But if we don't know that, and if we can find a group that subscribes to this theory, the world is the cause of sorrow, oh, terrible, whole world, if there was not for the world, I would have been happy. The world is the cause of sorrow. This is collective delusion. World is not the cause of sorrow. World is Bhagavan. We saw that in the last class. The whole universe is nothing but an expression of Bhagavan. It is benign, even if it is in the form of what one considers bad, good, not so good, all these things. It is an expression. And in that expression, there are many orders of reality that come into play, including the order of karma, the order of dharma. All these are orders. And the more we understand Ishvara, the more we see that this is the case. That is why we don't say Ishvara is infallible. It's a setup. As long as I have chocolates, ice cream and nice vacations and nobody comes and bothers me, Ishvara is infallible. The moment I have some problems in fulfilling the raga and dvesha, then Ishvara becomes what? Fallible. It's a setup. So we have to flip the script. We have to make this sentence, Ishvara is infallible, does a yogasana called headstand. Shirshasana. When this does a headstand, what do you say? That which is infallible is Ishvara. Then it becomes something to discover. Infallible means what? Inevitable. Infallible means what? Cannot be changed. Infallible means it will avashyam bhavi. It will happen. If it is going to happen and it will happen, and that which happens is Ishvara, then this is a very wonderful thing. This is how to get rid of the scales of division in the form of the figurative cataract in the eyes. These are the scales of division. This is how to get rid of them. That which is infallible is inevitable, and the inevitable comes to me in the form of so many people. People who annoy me. Inevitable. You will be surrounded by a few or a lot of them. In America, we have an expression. You spot it means if you found it out. If I found out that somebody is annoying, that means what? You got it. You spot it, you got it. This is Vedanta in a nutshell. If something is annoying you, if somebody is annoying you, the seeds of the annoyance are right here. And the more you give in to that annoyance, you are watering the seeds, you are putting fertilizer on the seeds. This is really exactly what it is. So that annoyance is just Ishvara expressing in a particular form, including the pickpocket. Oh, but should I not be annoyed by the pickpocket? You need not be annoyed by the pickpocket. You can say, thank you for giving me instant vairagya. You can tell. It is wonderful. Everybody is a teacher. Bhagavan Dattatreya talks about this. 24 teachers in the form of children, trees, people who steal, people who tell untruths. Everybody can be a teacher. If we transcend that and see Bhagavan. So the objective Srishti, the objective manifestation of this universe has the subjective overlay. And that subjective overlay is the cause of sorrow, pain, etc. And that is the morphing of Atma Ajnanam. Morphing means the expression of Atma Ajnanam. When Atma Ajnanam in the human beings becomes what is called Anyatha Jnanam, this is the result. So then, back to our topic, knowledge of Brahman, we can't really say knowledge that is Brahman. And if knowledge of Brahman is an incorrect expression, what to talk of knower of Brahman? Because knowledge of Brahman is not something other than you. It is already you. You are the sun-like consciousness that is as though eclipsed. We cannot say Atma is eclipsed. As though eclipsed by the shadow of subjective projections. And then what happens in a classroom situation, in a teaching situation? Everything is known through a certain thought pot, when I say. As soon as I said the word pot, even though there is no pot anywhere here, hundreds of pots came in your mind. You have already started to see the pot, your Ishta pot, gold pot, silver pot, clay pot. Since it's a Vedanta class, clay pot of various shapes and sizes you have already seen in the mind. So the word pot connected to the meaning which evokes in the mind, and that mind which is able to grasp that, and then later I may show pot. And when I show the pot, then there is a corroboration. Yes, this is the pot that I saw in the last camp. This is the pot that is being shown. That corroboration is there. So the knowledge of objects undergo a twofold operation. We come to know of objects through a twofold operation in the form of vrittis, mental formations, thoughts, etc. What is the first operation? Vritti vyapti. Just what happened in your head when I said pot. What happened? All kinds of pots came. You already saw the pot. The mind conjured up the pot because the word pot and the meaning pot cannot be divorced from each other. So it conjured up the pot. The pot is here. Then supposing I show you a huge pot used to bathe the deities. Then there has to be an adjustment because you are seeing chota pot, you are seeing a small pot, but I am sure you are seeing a small silver pot, I am showing you a big, you are seeing a small clay pot, I am showing you a big silver pot. What happens? You have to adjust. So the first operation of conjuring up or thinking of the pot, when the pot thought takes place, it is called vritti vyapti. Then when you see the pot and the mind says, this is pot, after making any adjustments needed, it is called phala vyapti. This is what is called a pot right now. This is a cognition called phalavyapti. Everything in the universe is known through this twofold operation called vritti-vyapti and phalavyapti. This is the twofold operation. And then what? Then vritti-vyapti and phalavyapti for everything. Everything in the universe except when you know the content or the truth of the knower, which is you. So in the classroom situation, again Brahma vritti is produced. Oh, but why should vritti be produced? To know vritti is after all kshanika. Kshanika means momentary. How long does a thought last? By the time I ask this question, you've already had 600 thoughts, okay, collectively speaking. How long does it last? Momentary. Born, gone, born, gone. That's the nature of the thought. So the question comes, how can the knowledge of the infinite, which is nitya, which is ananta, which is Satchidananda, be communicated through a kshanika vritti, through a momentary thought? But this is yet one more, as though paradox in Vedanta. Very, very, very beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. This is amazing. So it comes in the form of the thought. It has to come in the form of the thought. How else will it come? And it is actually appropriate for it to come in the form of the thought, because who is the thought reaching? You. You who happens to be what? Self-evident. Self-evident you. Remember the arrow. What did the arrow say? Restaurant. You don't eat the arrow, correct? You do what it says, you follow that area and the restaurant is reached. Here also the vritti is like an arrow. Brahmakara vritti. First we had what in the example? Pot akara vritti we had, and the pot akara vritti, let us say now, is replaced by Brahmakara vritti through the Mahavakya Upadesha, the teaching of the Mahavakya, such as what? Tat Tvam Asi. Through this Brahmakara vritti, what happens? Then, vritti vyapti takes place. That I am Brahman. I thought I was an idiot, but now I am the whole. It floods the mind, it floods the whole entire being of the Shishya, the student who is equipped with Shraddha. Then what happens? Do you need to see Brahman outside to corroborate and have that matching like you did in the pot? No. Very clear. Phala Vyapti is not needed because it's not an object. Vritti Vyapti is enough because I had the wrong orientation, I had the wrong vision, I was afflicted by a vision of division. Being afflicted by a vision of division, I was subject to sorrow, pain, fear, anxiety, etc. And now what has happened? Now that has been reversed. I have been told by the Guru that you are none of these things. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the senses. You are much more than that. And what are you? You are Brahman. What is Brahman? That which is without a second, that which is limitlessly joyous, that which is all knowledge and the source of all existence, that is what you are. And who is being told? The one who is self-effulgent, self-evident I. So like the arrow, it is the vritti becomes an indication. Vritti dies. Vritti dies away, leaving in its wake the knowledge that is me, Brahman. Very, very fantastic. It's like there is a wall around the heart, a stone wall around the heart. I'm suspicious of everyone I am suspicious of everything. Stay away. Pujya Swamiji used to call it a ninja stance. Offensive and defensive. Various ayudhas are there, flying. Ayudhas means what? Weapons. Weapons are flying. And then here is this person, comes to the Vedanta class, and the vritti in the form of a wonderful flower arrow, because it's taught with love. You are Brahman. No teacher says that. Get over it. You still don't know. You are Brahman. Nobody says that. It is taught with love, repeatedly. It's taught with compassion. It's taught with love. Why? Because the Guru did not drop from the sky. The Guru himself underwent the same thing that you all are undergoing. Same thing. The Guru he did not drop out of the sky. The Guru underwent the same ajnanam and the same removal of the ajnanam, which is what makes the Guru effective. That's why we say we have to choose the Guru who is a Shrotriya, who has undergone what you have undergone. Sometimes people like to say, I know this all by myself. The crux of the second verse tells us this. I know this apne aap. Apne aap means by myself I found out. If you meet somebody who says, I know Brahman apne aap, I know this for myself, do them a namaste and tell them to keep the knowledge to themselves, not give it to you. Okay? Shrotriyatvam makes it safe. The teacher is safe because the knowledge is not about the individual. The knowledge is not dependent upon the individual. The individual here is just a link in an endless chain of students and teachers. Students who then go and become teachers. It's just fascinating. So here, this vision of division, the flower arrow coming from the Guru Mukhat, from the mouth of the teacher, what does it do? It dismantles the brick wall, the stone wall. The arrow is the vritti. It dies away. It is not needed anymore because it has indicated who I am. And so now can I say, I am the knower of Brahman? Can I say? No. Even if I want to say yes, I have to say no. I cannot say that. This point is beautifully illustrated in the Kena Upanishad. In the middle of the class, the teacher decides to have a quiz. Who knows Brahman? Raise your hand. And one eager student said, I know Brahman. Teacher said, shut up, sit down, you don't know anything. The one who says, I know Brahman, dabhramevapi noonam tvam vetha brahma rupam. Your knowledge is like a dust ball. If you sweep the room, what happens? You get a little ball of dust. In fact, that ball of dust is bigger than your knowledge. You don't know anything. So then the other student thought, the other student was an apple polisher, wanting to be on the right side of the Guru, wanting to please the Guru. The other student said, oh, maybe the right answer is what? I don't know Brahman. Hey Guru, I don't know Brahman. And the Guru said, Appa, that is evident from your face. Sit down. That you don't know Brahman is evident. Sit down. Then the correct answer is finally given by the third student, who speaks in a wonderful riddle. Naham manye suvedeti, no na vedeti vedacha, yonas tadveda tadveda, no na vedeti vedacha. He said, I won't say that I know Brahman very well. Yet, I will also not say I do not know Brahman at all. Plus one more thing, I will be audacious enough to declare that those who understood what I just said know, know Brahman. So this is very, very beautifully, this very point is illustrated. So enlightenment ahankara sounds very, what is that, self-contradictory, and indeed it is. There is nothing to show off. Because all you have done is thrown away garbage. That's what. Let's say you want to throw the garbage out. You take a big bag of garbage. Do you call the press? Do you call all the TV stations? Oh, look at this person giving up the garbage. Taliyan, big claps, applause. In fact, you go throw the garbage when nobody is seeing you because you are ashamed how much garbage you have generated. There is nothing to advertise. All that you have done is got rid of the garbage. This is exactly what Brahma Vidya is. All the garbage of anyatha, jnanam, ajnanam, etc., all that is garbage. Mamata, mama bhava. Mine, 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 mine. Not yet mine, not yet mine. This is also garbage. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, garbage. Possessions, garbage. Everything is garbage. When you throw the garbage, you're not advertising it. You don't want to advertise it. Similarly, here also, this is a unique knowledge which does not have an agent. As soon as you know, there is no agent of this knowledge. This is very important to understand. It's a knowledge without a knower. A knowledge without a knower means what? The one who has, quote unquote, become the knowledge. This is not true in any other branch of knowledge except Paravidya, Brahma Vidya. In every other branch of knowledge, there is the master, a professor of microbiology. Teaches, 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 teaches. After 40 years of teaching, does he or she become a microbe? No. Where is the professor? Let's bring a microscope. You don't have to do that. The teacher does not become a microbe. Teacher remains separate from the knowledge, no matter how obsessed the teacher may be with the branch of knowledge. There was one devotee of Pujya Swamiji in America. He was a professor who was obsessed with bats. Interestingly, his name was Bhatnagar, which in America is what? Batnagar. Yeah. They don't know how to say Bhatnagar. But still he didn't become a bat and hung upside down from the tree. No. He continued to remain somebody who was interested in bats. But here, this knowledge knocks off the ahankara which identifies as the knower. And in that knocking off, there is nobody to own up. There is nobody to say, I am aham brahmajnani asmi. I am the knower of Brahman. I have knowledge of Brahman. If Brahman itself does not possess the knowledge that is Brahman, how can you who is Brahman possess the knowledge of Brahman? It's a knowledge where the agent and agency, agent karta, agency kartritvam, karta kartritvam, all of them are knocked off. Even the bhokta, the experiencer of this knowledge is knocked off. All that remains is ahankara that has been driven away and has come back through the back door as a servant. Through the servant's entrance it has come. Quietly it is sitting in service of this knowledge. This is why you cannot say, I am a Brahmajnani. If anybody says, I am a Brahmajnani, that is very clear. What is clear? They do not know. This is exactly why this enlightenment ahankara was talked about in great lengths in the last verse. Next one. Sukhachidakhanda vibodhamadvitiyam viyadanalādin vinirmite niyojya Sukhachidakhanda vibodhamadvitiyam Viyadanalādivinirmite niyojya Brahmayati bhavasagare nitantam. Come on. Tvaghatita patiyasi maya. We have to be alert. Yeah. Yeah. So, because this is a chorus, we can all say it together. Okay, one more time. We'll say this together. Sukhachidakhanda vibodhamadvitiyam viyadanaladi nirmite niyojya भ्रमयति भवसागरे नितान्तं त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया. So, the nature of the self is pointed out again and again. Why? It was already pointed out in verse number 1. Why should it be pointed out again in verse number 3? Because ati duram. Yes, verse number 1 is long gone. Who remembers? Nobody. And so it has to be iterated again. Reiteration, re-emphasizing, underscoring. And the word Satchidananda is the meaning of the first portion, the first pada of the thing, of the third verse. But then it is put slightly differently because the person is a wonderful poet. Sukha means what? Happiness. Here, Ananda. So, Sukha, Chit. Chit is knowledge. And what kind of Chit? Akhanda Vibodham Advitiyam. Akhanda Chit. So, this Satchidananda, which is Akhanda, cannot even be broke up into Sat plus Chit plus Ananda. First, let me understand Sat, then let me understand Chit. Aisa nahi hai. It's not like that at all. They are one. They are all one, but seen from different standpoints. That which is existent, and that existent is what? It's conscious. Conscious being. That existence is resting in a conscious being, and that Chit, which is knowledge, is also resting in a conscious being, or rather I should say resting as a conscious being, which happens to be without a second. Advitiyam, if you say without a second, that means what? This limitlessness has come. So the Ananda actually is Ananta. Ananta, forever, limitless. Eternal, we can say. Who knows the meaning of eternal? Nobody knows. Because everything in our life is what? Time bound, time bound, time bound, time bound, time bound. Everything is time bound. Any happiness that we experience is immediately time bound. In fact, it's a wonder that we experience any happiness at all. If you look at all the ingredients that have to come together, it will be surprising how anybody manages to be happy. Very, very surprising. First what? The object of love must be there. Correct? If only the object is there, it's not enough. The subject, the enjoyer, the prospective enjoyer must be there. Let's say ice cream. Ice cream must be there, and then the person who is screaming for ice cream must also be there. That's also not enough. The person must not have a stomach virus. If the stomach virus is there, and even if somebody loves ice cream, you go give it to them, they'll say, enough, don't show this to me. I'm sick of it. I'm feeling, nauseous even looking at it. And so many things, and the mood of the person should be in an amenable, amicable mood to eating the ice cream. Ice cream is given, the person has had a fight with the significant other. Hunger is there, desire is there, but one doesn't feel like having. So many things have to come together, and then the experience of this, the happiness is what? Ephemeral, elusive, comes, even we cannot say, mostly goes. Yeah, that's how we know happiness. That which mostly goes is happiness. That's why it's called happiness. Suddenly it happens, and then suddenly does not happen. That's why it's called happiness. So we don't know the meaning of eternity. We don't know the meaning of eternal. Eternal means what? Chronic illness. That's all we know. Something which hangs around in time for a long time. Rheumatism. Oh my God, my aches and pains in my joints are eternal, somebody will say. This is how people talk. We don't know the meaning of eternal. That's why here we have the beautiful way in which the Shruti has converted Ananta into Ananda, Sukham. Because if the Shruti promises Ananta, there will be no takers. Who wants Ananta? Who knows what it is? Better say no. I don't want Ananta because I don't know what it is. If my ache and pains are Ananta, I certainly don't want any more Ananta. Go away. But if you say Ananda, who wants? Everybody. In fact, they will raise both the hands. Me. I want happiness. But if we look into this happiness, what is this? Happiness is Priyam. What is this Priyam? What is this happiness? What is this Ananda? In fact, the Upanishad does Ananda Mimamsa, an analysis of happiness. Only in the Upanishad, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, analysis of happiness. A comparative analysis of happiness is made in the Taittiriya Upanishad, and then there, in order to do that, the Upanishad arrives at a ideal typical unit of human happiness. Yuva syat sadhu yuva dhyayakah. Yuva syat. Meaning what? The person is young. Man. Why man? Oh, this is not fair. What about women? Man, because it's, it's more strong. More strong. Not general, more strong. Strength is something which is important. That's why. And fewer responsibilities. Doesn't have to keep the baby in the womb and go through labor pains and all this. So therefore, it is a desirable upadhi. Yuva syat. Young. What is the word that goes with young? Restless. Young and restless. No, sadhu yuva. Sadhu means very calm, tranquil fellow. Must be a duffer, must be so dumb. No, adhyayakah, very well studied. He is looking like son-in-law material for a lot of people with daughters. He is definitely looking like son-in-law material. And then it goes on, the Upanishad goes on in this ideal typical unit of human Ananda. Ashishtah, well-mannered, not a nerd, antisocial, sitting on the computer playing games all the time. No, well-mannered. Dradhishtah means has resolve. What he says he will do, he will do. Balishtaha. You don't go foo and he falls down. No, strong. The father of the daughter is convinced. I think this is the fellow for our child. Mama is convinced. Mommy says, show me the money, being a practical lady. She says, where is the money? Show me the money. Ya iyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat. This whole earth and all her resources, diamonds, gold, mineral, oil, tree wealth, everything belongs to this fellow, let us say. Mommy is convinced. She says, forget the horoscope. Get them married. This is Eko Manusha Anandaha. This is one unit of human happiness. Let us say. A hypothetical unit of human happiness. Then we have some Vedantic mathematics, not Vedic mathematics. Vedantic mathematics, and you are asked to multiply that by 100. Te ye shatam manusha anandaha. Then what happens? It becomes the first one unit of Manushya Gandharva's happiness. Who is Manushya Gandharva? It is a kind of a celestial being, very low rung celestial. Even in celestials, all these devatas, we have gradations. This one is just a, by accident he went into the celestial realm. Some kind of a singing entity. These Gandharvas, Yakshas, and what are the other one? Kinnaras. Kinnaras. They are all musical beings. So just sings all the time. I mean, you don't say just sings all the time. Why am I saying that? We have to say, because even to sing all the time, that sukshmata is needed. You have to have that fine desire for fine arts and everything. You have to have a very subtle mind. So then you multiply that by 100, you get 1 unit of Gandharvananda. Then you multiply that by 100, then you get 1 unit of this ancestral Ananda. Then now look at human Ananda, it's gone now. Somewhere it's not even a pixel if you were to draw it. And then it goes on and on and on, all the way to Indra, Prajapati, Brihaspati and Brahmaji himself. And then there is a chorus. If that is the case, then why am I studying this? Because all these, without becoming Gandharva, I won't get Gandharvananda. Without becoming Karmadeva. Karmadeva is the one who brings chai to all the other devas. Yeah. So that is Karmadeva. And then chai wala in heaven. And so this, without being that, I won't get his Ananda, I won't get this Ananda, I won't get that Ananda if I keep thinking. Then why should I know of all this? It's like the person being given an elaborate menu. This is what is for lunch. Oh really, where is lunch? Not your lunch, somebody else's lunch. You feel like rolling up the menu and giving them one with that. Makes you angry. So therefore, there is a refrain. You sitting here can have this. When one is a Shrotriya, we already talked about what that is. Akamahataha. Sayeko manusha anandaha Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya te ye shatam manusha anandaha Sayeko manushya gandharvanam anandaha Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya. Shrotriya, the one who has studied properly, has been exposed, committed way to this knowledge. This is Shrotriya. And then Akamahataha. Be very careful how you resolve the compound. Don't say Akamena hataha, Akamahataha. Then we'll be in trouble. Kamena nahataha. The one who is not hijacked by desires. This person sitting under the tree is enjoying Manushya's Ananda, Manushya Gandharva's Ananda, Chaiwala in heaven Ananda, Indra Ananda, this Ananda, that Ananda. All the Anandas that person sitting quietly is enjoying everything. What is the key to that? The key to that is Brahma Vidya. And the key to that is growing out of the desires. That is the key to this. You grow out of the desire. And this is what makes one grow out of being afflicted by Maya also. But here the opposite is talked about. So even though, even though we have what? I am Sukhachit. I am that which is all knowledge in the form of Ananta, Ananda, which is Akhanda, which is in the form of all knowledge, not subject to Khanda, fragments. Vibodham, which is in the form of Vibodha. What kind of Vibodha? Advitiya Vibodham. That's why we cannot say I have knowledge of Brahman. It is Advitiya. You as an entity is knocked off. That we have to prepare ourselves for when we study this. Otherwise we'll be like the king of some small village in India. Some small village, Raipur. One king was there. And then he was woken up and told, you have been appointed the king of whole of India. For a minute he was surprised. Ah, really? Then immediately the old Mayik orientations took place. What did he say? Oh, will I still be king of Raipur? Oh my God, I have to give up Raipur. That is how it is. The Ahankara wants to be that which is, it is used to smallness. It is marinating in smallness. It only can grasp small things as its own. And it is just you accustomed to that. And it holds on to that. And you give it the entire universe and Bhagavan on a platter. It will say, what about this? My, what about this thing? This is the problem. So even though one is that, then what happens? Vinirmite niyojya. Nirmite means in this preparation. What is the preparation? Viyat anal adi. Viyat anal, 5 elements. Space, what are the 5 elements? Space, air, fire, water, earth. So only 2 are mentioned, the other 3, Adi Padat, because the word Adi, etc. is there, we extrapolate. And so these 5 elements, because of Maya, have been crafted into what? This whole entire universe of names and forms. The raw materials for all the names and forms are what? 5 elements. 5 elements called bhutas, and elementals are called what? Bhautikas. So what is your body? Bhautika. 5 elements. We start with space. Where is space? In the head. That's why it takes so long to understand. That's why one says, I'm spaced out. It's very clear. Water in the form of blood and all the fluids. Air. And then all the pranas. And then fire. Hunger. What happens at 12:30? Vaishvanara. And then what else is there? Earth, bones. Bones are the earth. So all this is given, the correspondence to the 5 elements is there, and then you can study the Chandogya Upanishad 6th chapter in detail along with Bhashya. It is given very, very beautifully. And so this is the body, mind, sense complex. And then what happens? Immediately I have mamatvam. I take it to be real. I don't see that the air I breathe is the same as this body. I don't see that the water I drink is not different from this body. So the body, the mind is also sukshma, the sukshma tattva of the sanmatras, the 5 elements. Subtle part of the 5 elements goes up to make up the mind. The sattvic part of the 5 elements, Tattva Bodha, you can study to brush up on all this. Everything is given in detail. So the sattvic part of the 5 elements goes to make up what is called the mind, the antahkarana, etc. And so mind, buddhi also 5 elements. Yet here I am, I think of myself as a distinct and separate entity. And this entity goes around and fights with other entities. Goes around and covets certain things and keep them away, protect them from other entities. And so, Brahmayati, Maya causes, Brahmati means roams. Roams aimlessly is called Brahmanam, Brahmati, roams aimlessly. Brahmayati causes one to roam aimlessly. Causes one to roam aimlessly. Where? Bhavasagare, Nitantam, always. Bhavasagara. What is Bhavasagara? The ocean of becoming. And the samsara is likened to the sorrow, is likened to sorrow and ocean. Why? Because tears are salty. Ocean is also salty. One similarity. And the ocean is full of all kinds of ecosystems. There is the seaweed of entanglement, emotional entanglement. There are all kinds of biting creatures like sharks, etc., which are prarabdha karma that encircle one. All these black triangles we have in the comics. Prarabdha karma is there. And what is one? Everybody can be named Sam. Flot Sam and Jet Sam. A piece of driftwood. Not even having the ability to reach the shore. One wave takes you and capsizes you somewhere, and then you think you are reaching the shore, another wave takes you back in. And this is what it is. Being thrown by breaker, by surfs, by tsunamis, being just cast here, cast there, everything. Gone, 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 gone. Nimagnaha, somewhere else it is said in the Upanishad. Nimagnaha means drowned. Drowned means it's over. In fact, it's a relief. No. Nimajjan, drowning. Present, continuous. Drowning, drowning, drowning. Glub, 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 come up for air. I'm having a nice day. Oh, wonderful. Again. Again, glub, 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 come up for air. And then again, go under. This was exactly the condition of, I'll take 2 minutes extra today. It will be worth it, don't worry. And this is exactly the condition of the poet, saint poetess Mirabai. She went to her guru and she said, what? I'm drowning in the ocean of sorrow. Mori lagi lagana guru charananaki. I'm attached to the feet of the Guru. Why? Because this sab kuch maya hai. Everything is maya. Jhoot maya sab sapanan ki. Everything else is dreamlike. It is not real. It is the product of maya. She knew that. Prabhu charanana ki mori lage lagana Guru charanana ki. And what did the Guru do? She thought, I'll learn some swimming lessons. How to swim in the ocean of samsara. Should I do front stroke? Should I do back stroke? Should I do butterfly stroke? And in one stroke, what did the Guru do? Made the ocean itself disappear. Bhavasagar sab sukh gaya hai, fikr nahi mohe taranan ki. मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर उलट भई मोहे नयनन की. He also, my Guru removed the cataracts. My Guru turned my vision around so that I understood I was on the wrong premise. I was thinking how to make samsara better, how to craft a boat, how to make a raft on the ocean. no raft, no craft. What happened? The magic, by the magic of the teaching, the ocean itself was reduced to but a notion. That is Brahma Vidya, where the ocean of sorrow is reduced to nothing but a notion of sorrow. This is the power of the teaching. This is the if one is ready to be transformed. And so no longer Brahmayati, no longer has Maya and any effect on me. It can't cause me to move around. Why? Because I am one with Ishvara. I have seen that this is the subjective projection. Sometimes the subjective projection is an individual subjective projection. Sometimes it's a collective delusion. This is what it is. Oh, bhav sagar hai, sab log doob rahe hain. All these things. Oh, this is the ocean of sorrow. We are all drowning. This is a collective delusion. Good for a support group, that's all. Yeah. But it is not the reality. The reality is that I am not subject to this delusion. So there, this is how Maya, which makes the notion into the ocean, makes the impossible possible. Om Purnamadav Purnamadam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.